The blood on the canvas was Muhammad Ali's. September 18th, 1972. Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. Ali's private training camp, tucked into the Pocono Mountains where he prepared for fights away from cameras and crowds. The gym was small, built from logs, with a heavy bag hanging from exposed beams and a regulation ring in the center. Only 6 people were there that afternoon. Ali, his trainer, Angelo Dundee, his conditioning coach, Luis Saria, his cornerman, Bundini Brown, and 2 sparring partners brought in from Philadelphia to give Ali work. Before we continue with the story, you can support us by subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Don't forget to write in the comments where you're watching from and how old you are. Let's continue. One of them was Larry Jenkins, 24 years old, light heavyweight, record of 11-3. Nobody special, just another hungry fighter trying to make rent by taking punches from the greatest heavyweight in the world. Except that afternoon, Larry Jenkins wasn't taking punches. He was giving them. The session started normally. Ali dancing, moving, working on footwork. Larry pressing forward with the controlled aggression of a sparring partner who knows his job. Make the champ work, but don't actually hurt him. But something shifted in round 3. Larry caught Ali with a right hand that snapped Ali's head back. Not a sparring session tap, a real punch. The kind that makes your ears ring and your knees forget how they work. Ali smiled, nodded, came back harder. Larry matched him, then exceeded him. For the next 2 rounds, Larry Jenkins beat Muhammad Ali like Ali owed him money. Combinations that got through Ali's guard. Body shots that made Ali's breathing change. A left hook in round 4 that put Ali on the ropes, hurt, looking for an escape that wasn't there. Angelo Dundee watched from the corner, his face tight. This wasn't sparring anymore. This was something else. When the bell rang, ending round 5, Dundee stepped into the ring. That's enough for today. Ali's face was marked. Small cut above his left eye, swelling on his right cheek. He was breathing hard, harder than he should have been against a light, heavyweight nobody. Larry Jenkins stood in the opposite corner, gloves at his sides, looking at what he'd done. Looking at Muhammad Ali, the man who'd beaten Sonny Liston, who'd survived Joe Frazier, who was supposed to be untouchable, looking human. Beatable. Mortal. Good work, Ali said to Larry as they touched gloves. You got some real skill. We'll go again tomorrow. Larry nodded, said nothing, climbed out of the ring and walked to the locker room. That was the last time anyone at Deer Lake training camp saw Larry Jenkins. The next morning, he was gone. His gym bag still in the locker. His street clothes still hanging on the hook. His car still parked outside. But Larry Jenkins had vanished. And 30 years later, nobody knew if he was alive or dead. Michael Jenkins got the first phone call 3 days after his brother disappeared. September 21st, 1972. Michael was 28, worked construction in North Philadelphia, lived 2 blocks from the house where he and Larry had grown up. He'd been proud when Larry got the call to spar with Ali. Told everyone at the job site, "My little brother's training with the greatest." The voice on the phone was unfamiliar. "Male, calm. Your brother saw something he shouldn't have seen. If you want him to stay healthy, stop asking questions about where he is." Then the line went dead. Michael called the police, filed a missing person report, gave him the phone call. The cops wrote it down, promised to investigate, and did exactly nothing. "Your brother's an adult," the detective said. "Adults are allowed to disappear if they want to. Maybe he got scared. Maybe he went somewhere to think. Give it time." But Michael knew his brother. Larry didn't run. Larry didn't hide. Larry called his mother every Sunday. Showed up for family dinner every Wednesday. Had a girlfriend he was planning to propose to. Larry Jenkins wasn't the kind of person who vanished. So Michael started investigating himself. He drove to Deer Lake, talked to Angelo Dundee. Larry sparred 5 rounds, did good work, then left. I assumed he went home. When he didn't show up the next day, I figured he'd quit. Sparring partners quit all the time. Did anything happen during the session? Anything unusual? Angelo hesitated. He hit Ali hard, real hard. Maybe got embarrassed about it. Some guys can't handle hurting the champ, even in training. That's not Larry. He wouldn't run because of that. Then I don't know what to tell you. Michael talked to Bundini Brown. Got the same story. Nothing unusual except Larry's performance. Kid could fight. Had Ali in trouble a few times. But that happens in training. Means nothing. Where did Larry go after the session? Locker room. That's the last I saw him. Michael checked the locker room himself. Found Larry's bag exactly where it had been left. Clothes, shoes, wallet with $47 inside. Nobody leaves their wallet behind when they disappear. The other sparring partner from that day, a heavyweight named Marcus Thompson, told Michael something strange. After the session, when we were changing, these two guys came in. Never seen them before. Suits, not gym people. They talked to Larry for maybe 5 minutes. I couldn't hear what they were saying. Then they all left together. What do they look like? White guys. 40s, maybe 50s. Looked like cops or government. That kind of vibe. Did Larry seem scared? No, just serious. Like they were telling him something important. Michael went back to the police with this information. The detective barely looked up from his paperwork. So your brother left with some men in suits. That's not a crime. Maybe he got a job offer. Maybe he's working somewhere else. Without telling anyone? Without taking his wallet? People do strange things, Mr. Jenkins. If your brother wanted you to know where he is, he'd call. But he didn't call. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Michael put up flyers. Call hospitals. Call morgues. Called every boxing gym in a 3-state radius. Nothing. Larry Jenkins had vanished like he'd never existed. The years passed and the mystery deepened. 1973, Michael hired a private investigator. The PI found nothing. No paper trail. No sightings. No body. It's like he evaporated, the investigator said, returning Michael's money. 1975, a rumor circulated in Philadelphia boxing circles. Larry Jenkins had been killed. Some said by the mob for refusing to throw a fight. Others said by someone in Ali's camp for embarrassing the champ. Nobody had proof. Everyone had theories. 1978, Michael got another phone call. Same calm voice from 6 years earlier. Your brother is alive. He's safe. Stop looking for him. If you keep asking questions, he won't stay safe. Let me talk to him. Let me know he's okay. He's okay. That's all you need to know. The line went dead. Michael tried to trace the call. Got nowhere. But at least he knew Larry was alive. Or had been in 1978. 1982, Muhammad Ali, now retired from boxing, did an interview where he was asked about sparring partners who'd given him trouble. Ali mentioned a few names, then paused. There was one kid. 1972, Deer Lake. Beat me up pretty good for 5 rounds. Never saw him again after that day. Sometimes I wonder what happened to him. The interviewer didn't follow up. But Michael saw the interview, recorded it, watched it over and over. Even Ali remembered Larry. Even Ali wondered. 1990, Michael's mother died. He'd spent 18 years telling her Larry was alive somewhere, would come home eventually. She died not knowing where her youngest son was. At the funeral, Michael stood over her casket and made a promise. I'll find him, Mom. I swear I'll find him. 2000, the internet made searching easier. Michael created websites, posted on early forums, connected with other families of missing persons. Found nothing about Larry, but the obsession kept him going. And then, in 2002, 30 years after Larry vanished, Michael got a letter. No return address. Postmarked from Washington, D.C. inside, a single page. Typed, Michael, I'm alive. I'm sorry for 30 years of silence. I couldn't contact you. I still can't, not directly. But you deserve to know I'm okay. I've thought about you and Mom every day. What happened in 1972 wasn't my choice. Men came to me after the Ollie training session. Told me I'd overheard something I shouldn't have. Gave me 2 options. Disappear into witness protection or disappear permanently. I chose to live. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry Mom died not knowing. But I'm alive, and I think about you every day. L. Michael read the letter 20 times. Looked for clues. Analyzed the typing. The paper. The postmark. Nothing identified where Larry was or how to reach him. But it confirmed what Michael had hoped for 30 years. Larry was alive. The question was, what had he overheard? Michael started researching. September 1972. Muhammad Ali was preparing for a fight with Floyd Patterson. What could Larry have overheard in a training camp that required federal witness protection? He found the answer in archived newspaper articles from late 1972. Federal investigation into organized crimes involvement in boxing. Indictments handed down in November 1972. 5 mob figures charged with fixing fights, bribing judges, controlling fighters through intimidation. The investigation had started in September 1972, right when Larry had been at Deer Lake. Michael called the FBI, asked about witness protection cases from 1972 related to boxing and organized crime. They wouldn't confirm or deny anything. We don't discuss witness protection cases. Ever. My brother has been missing for 30 years. I just want to know he's alive. We can't help you. Dead end. But then Michael thought of someone who might talk. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali in 2002 was 60 years old. Parkinson's disease had stolen much of his movement and speech, but his mind was still sharp, his memory still clear. Michael called Ali's office, explained who he was, brother of Larry Jenkins, the sparring partner who disappeared in 1972, asking if Ali remembered anything unusual from that day. 2 weeks later, Michael got a call back. Ali would meet with him. They met at Ali's home in Michigan. Ali moved slowly, his hands trembling, his face showing the Parkinson's mask, but his eyes were alert. Larry Jenkins. Ali said, his speech slow but clear enough. I remember him. Good fighter. Tough. Gave me real work that day. Do you remember anything else? Anything unusual? Ali thought. There were men there. That day. Watching. Not gym people. I remember because Angelo pointed them out. Said they weren't supposed to be there. Said he'd never seen them before. What happened? Don't know. They were there during training. Gone after. I asked Angelo who they were. He didn't know. Forgot about it. Until you asked. Do you think they had something to do with Larry disappearing? Ali was quiet for a long time. Then, I've heard things, over the years, about that training camp, about the mob, about investigations. Never knew what was real, what was rumor. He leaned forward, the effort visible. Tell me about Larry. What happened after he left? Michael told him everything. The disappearance, the threatening phone calls, the 30 years of searching, the letter in 2002 confirming Larry was alive in witness protection. Ali listened to it all. When Michael finished, Ali said something that changed everything. I want to help. I want to find him. If he's alive, if he's been hiding because of something that happened at my camp, then I'm responsible. I want to make it right. How? I know people. FBI. Justice Department. I've done favors for them. Over the years. They owe me. Let me make some calls. 3 weeks later, Michael got another letter. This one with a return address. A lawyer's office in Washington, D.C. Inside, an invitation. Your brother would like to see you. November 15th, 2002. 2 p.m. The address below. Come alone. The address was a small office building in suburban Virginia. Michael drove there, heart pounding, not knowing what to expect. A man met him in the lobby. Federal agent, clearly. Mr. Jenkins. Follow me. They took an elevator to the 3rd floor. Walked down a hallway. Stopped at a conference room door. Your brother has been in witness protection for 30 years, the agent said. What he tells you about why is classified. What you discuss here doesn't leave this room. Understood. Understood. The agent opened the door. And there, sitting at a conference table, was Larry Jenkins. 54 years old now. Gray in his hair. Lines in his face. 30 years older than the last time Michael had seen him. But alive. Undeniably, impossibly alive. Michael, Larry said, standing. His voice breaking. Michael couldn't speak. Could only walk forward and pull his brother into an embrace they'd both waited 3 decades for. They held each other and cried and didn't let go for a long time. When they finally sat down, Larry told the story he'd never been allowed to tell. September 18th, 1972. After the training session with Ali, Larry had gone to the locker room. 2 men in suits had walked in. Federal agents. You're Larry Jenkins? Yeah. We need you to come with us. Now. They'd taken him to a car outside the gym. Driven him to a hotel 20 minutes away. Sat him down in a room with 3 more agents. During your sparring session today, you were in the ring. 5 rounds. Do you remember what you heard? Heard? I was getting punched in the head. I wasn't listening to conversations. Between rounds. When you were in the corner. What did you hear? Larry thought back. Between rounds, he'd been focused on breathing, on recovering, on Angelo Dundee's instructions to Ollie. But there had been voices. Outside the ring. Men talking. I heard two guys. Ringside. Talking about the Patterson fight. What did they say? Something about making sure Patterson went down in round 8. Something about money already being placed. About judges being taken care of. The agents exchanged looks. Did you see who was talking? No. I was in the corner. Couldn't see ringside clearly. But you heard them. Yeah. One agent leaned forward. Larry, those men you overheard? They're connected to organized crime. They're part of an investigation we've been running for 8 months. What you overheard is evidence of fight fixing. Evidence we need. But if they know you overheard it, you're in danger. I'm just a sparring partner. They don't even know who I am. They will. We had surveillance on them. They know someone in that gym overheard. They'll figure out it was you. And when they do, you're a liability they'll eliminate. Larry felt cold. What are you saying? We're saying you have 2 choices. Come into witness protection right now. New identity. New life. Testify when we need you. Or take your chances, go home, and hope they don't find you. If I go into protection, how long? Until the trial. Could be 6 months. Could be longer. What about my family? My girlfriend? You can't contact them. If you do, you compromise the program and put them in danger. Larry had sat there trying to process it. 30 minutes ago, he'd been sparring with Muhammad Ali. Now federal agents were telling him his life was in danger because he'd overheard mobsters discussing a fixed fight. I need to think. You don't have time to think. Those men are looking for you right now. We need an answer. Larry had made the decision that would define the next 30 years. Okay, I'll do it. They'd taken him that night. New name, new city, new identity. Larry Jenkins ceased to exist. The trial happened in 1973. Larry testified about what he'd overheard. 5 mob figures were convicted. Larry's testimony was sealed, his identity protected. But the mob had long memories. Even after the convictions, the threat remained. So Larry stayed in protection. Months became years. Years became decades. He wanted to contact Michael. Had written letters he'd never been allowed to send. Had picked up the phone 100 times and put it down because one call could compromise everything. In 1978, he'd convinced his handler to let him make that one phone call to Michael. To let his brother know he was alive. That was all they'd allowed. The letter in 2002 had been Larry's idea. 30th anniversary of his disappearance. He'd argued that enough time had passed. The mob figures from 1973 were dead or in prison. The threat was minimal. The FBI had finally agreed. Not to releasing him from protection. That was for life, but to allowing supervised contact with family. Which was why they were sitting in this conference room now. I'm sorry, Larry said to Michael. I'm sorry I couldn't come home. I'm sorry Mom died not knowing. I'm sorry for 30 years of silence. Michael wiped his eyes. You're alive. That's what matters. But Jesus, Larry. 30 years. 30 years because you overheard a conversation. It was enough to convict 5 people. That made me valuable, but also made me a target. And Muhammad Ali? Does he know any of this? He knows I'm alive now. He's the reason the FBI allowed this meeting. He called in favors. Pushed the right people. Said I deserved to see my family. Michael shook his head. Ollie did that. Ollie did that. They talked for 3 hours, making up for 30 years in one afternoon. Larry told Michael about his life in protection. The job he had. The wife he'd married. A woman who knew him only by his new name. The quiet life he'd built in a place he couldn't identify. Michael told Larry about their mother's last years. About the family. About the 3 decades spent searching. When time was up, the federal agent knocked on the door. We need to wrap this up. Larry stood. Can I see him again? The agent considered. Maybe. Once a year. Supervised. We'll arrange it. Larry and Michael embraced again. I love you, little brother, Michael said. I love you too. Larry left first. Walked out with the agent. Disappeared again, but this time Michael knew where he was going. Back to a life Michael would never fully know. Back to witness protection. but alive. After 30 years of not knowing, Michael finally had the answer he'd been searching for. His brother was alive. 3 months later, Muhammad Ali met with Michael Jenkins at a restaurant in Philadelphia. Ali's Parkinson's was advanced by then. He moved with difficulty, spoke slowly, but he'd insisted on the meeting. "Your brother," Ali said carefully. "He's okay. He's alive. That's more than I knew for 30 years. Thank you for making it possible. I wanted to apologize. He was in my camp. Overheard something in my camp. That's why his life changed. It's not your fault, but I feel responsible. He came to spar, came to help me, and his life was destroyed." Michael shook his head. His life wasn't destroyed. It changed. He's alive. He has a family. He's okay. And if you hadn't made those calls to the FBI, I might never have known that. Ali was quiet. Then that day, September 1972, he beat me up pretty good. 5 rounds. Best sparring I ever had. I always wondered what happened to him, why he disappeared. Now I know. He wanted me to tell you something. He said, "Tell Ali I'm sorry I left without saying goodbye. And tell him it was an honor to share the ring with the greatest." Ali smiled. The Parkinsons made it small, but genuine. Tell him the honor was mine. Larry Jenkins lives today under a name that isn't his own, in a city he can't identify, with a life built on a secret 30 years old. He sees his brother Michael once a year. Supervised visits arranged by the FBI. They talk. They catch up. They maintain a connection that survived 3 decades of silence. He never returned to boxing. Never contacted his old girlfriend. She married someone else in 1975, thinking Larry was dead. Never saw his mother again before she died. But he's alive. That's more than many men who cross the mob can say. Muhammad Ali died in 2016 without ever seeing Larry Jenkins again. But he'd told people the story about the sparring partner who'd beaten him in 1972 and vanished. About how the kid had overheard the wrong conversation and paid for it with his identity. That's what the mob does. Ali had said in one of his last interviews. They don't just hurt people, they erase them. Larry Jenkins was erased, but he survived. And that takes a different kind of toughness than boxing requires. The story of Larry Jenkins isn't widely known. Most boxing historians don't know he existed. The September 18th, 1972 training session at Deer Lake isn't documented anywhere. But it happened. A 24-year-old sparring partner beat Muhammad Ali for 5 rounds. Overheard a conversation about fixing the Ali Patterson fight, and disappeared into witness protection for the rest of his life. The men who fixed fights went to prison. The mob's control over boxing diminished. The sport got cleaner, safer, more regulated. And Larry Jenkins paid for that progress with his name, his identity, and 30 years of his life. That's the price of overhearing the truth. Sometimes you survive, but survival costs everything you were. Larry Jenkins survived. But the man who walked into Deer Lake training camp on September 18th, 1972, ceased to exist that night. Someone else walks around now with his face, his memories, his history, but not his name. That name died 30 years ago in a training camp in Pennsylvania, buried not in a grave, but in a federal database. Protected, hidden, erased. The greatest disappearing act in boxing history wasn't performed in a ring. It was performed by a 24-year-old sparring partner who beat Muhammad Ali and overheard 5 sentences that changed his life forever. The story you just heard was written by me.